So it's been about 2 weeks since the Kelso Climax mission came out and the new Master difficulty came out, and players are still wondering what is the best build to run solo for the new Master difficulty. And I actually have two builds here that I think work amazing. They both have similar play styles, but they work a little bit different, and I have the full build breakdown in this video. One thing I did want to mention is there was a user who was able to use one of these builds under 1000 shade level, and she tagged me on Twitter and showed her completing it. And I was very proud because a lot of times people tell me, yo, Skillz, your builds are only for veterans who have max shade level, have max expertise, and that is never the case. I always try to create a build that I give you options. I'll even tell you, hey, if you don't have this exotic backpack, you can run this high-end piece with this talent. If you don't have this exotic weapon, well, you can run this exotic weapon, or you can run this high-end weapon. I always give you options, and that's what I always strive to do in my videos. So hopefully, if you guys will actually watch the whole video, you will pick up on those minor details. Now, for some builds, like Master Difficulty, which is the highest difficulty in the game, well, of course, there are going to be certain builds that you want to have that it's hard to miss a piece here or miss a piece there. You're going to need to farm for those pieces. You are really working towards the hardest difficulty in the game, right? But as in the case here, the build I had put out, it didn't need to be maxed. You didn't have to have max expertise, and she was only level 750 and was able to complete it. So I'll be showing you guys both builds. Both of these builds work great, and at the end, I'll tell you which one I think is a little bit safer play, but I'll tell you which one I think actually destroys enemies a lot quicker. But the build you see here is actually the Striker's build, and well, that'll be the first build that we get into. So for my build, I'll tell you the Chameleon really sets this build apart. Now, I will switch the Chameleon for the Scorpio when I get to those special characters we like to call the Hunters at that point. But again, the Chameleon is going to be my go-to. It has 84,000 on this build, 1,035 RPM, 50 in the magazine, and it has a 20 optimal range. We do have 20% expertise, so we do have 20% extra weapon damage. I would like to get this up because this weapon is starting to be one of my favorite assault rifles. We have assault rifle, health damage, and damage to targets out of cover. Now, why is this weapon so crucial to this build? Well, because of adaptive instincts. Hitting 30 headshots grants 20% crit chance and 50% crit damage for 45 seconds. And on this build, I'm only sitting at 31% crit chance. So with that extra 20%, I'm now sitting at 51%, which I like to be 50 or above. So this is why it works really good. Not only that, I'm gonna hit 30 headshots on this build, and I get 50% crit damage. Now, when I hit 65 body shots, I'm getting additional 90% weapon damage for 45 seconds. Now, hitting 20 leg shots grants 150% reload speed, but the main two I'm really worried about is right here. Now, on the Chameleon, you also get 50% crit chance, 20 rounds, 20% accuracy, and 10% stability, so it makes it pretty accurate. Now, since I am running a build that I need to build my stacks on, the ACS 12 is going to be that weapon. It allows me to build my stacks quick, and then I can hold it with the Chameleon. Now, we have shotgun damage, damage to armor, and health damage on this one, and I have preservation. I could always use this if I get in trouble, get some life back, but yeah. Chameleon is going to be your go-to. ACS 12 is going to be your secondary. So for the mask, I am running the Chill Out mask. If you guys don't have this mask, you guys can farm the Loot Goblin. He is dropping the mask still. We have 5% total armor. We have armor on here. And then we have critical damage, and then 2 protection from elites mods on here. So that's already 24% protection from elites on the build. We're gonna be stacking some on here. We are sitting at 1.8 million armor and 363,000 health. So for the chest, I went with the Striker Battlefield chest. Now, we're running a 4-piece, so we get the 15% weapon handling, 50% rate of fire, and then Striker's Gamble. Weapon hits increase total weapon damage by 0.65%, stacking up 100 times. Now, we do have 170,000 armor, critical damage, and then another protection from elites here. The chest piece, what it's going to do is going to allow us to stack from 100 to 200 stacks. For our second piece of Strikers, we have the holster, and we have armor and critical damage. Our third piece of Strikers, we have the knee pads with armor, critical damage. For our fourth and final piece of Strikers, we have our gloves, weapon damage, and critical chance. Feel like you don't have enough armor on the build, you want to go up to 2 million, you can switch out that weapon damage. And for the backpack, we are running the Memento backpack with weapon damage, armor, skill tier, and then we have protection from elites on here. Also, we have kill confirm. So this is where we're going to get a lot of our damage. For every time we pick up a trophy, we're getting 10% extra weapon damage, but we're getting 50% bonus armor, and then 5% skill efficiency. Now, if we have a full stacks, which we get that pretty quick early on in the mission, we'll have 30% weapon damage, 30% skill efficiency, and 3% armor regen. That gives us a survivability we need for fighting those hunters and just fighting enemies overall. If we go take a look real quick, I'll show you my stats. We have 31% crit chance. Remember, this goes up to 51% crit chance once I have the stack on the chameleon. We also have 93% crit damage. You gain another 50% crit damage there. 70% headshot damage, 21% health damage, and then we go over to our stats. We have 1.7 million, almost 1.8 million armor, and then protection from elites, 58%. This gives us that survivability that we need. For our specialization, we're running the survivalist. That's gonna give us an additional 10% protection from elites, and that's why we're at that 58%. Now, if we go back and I'll show you guys the modifiers I'm using, I am using overdrive. I think this is amazing here. We have fortified shield to increase your shield's health by 100%. We have the reactive reinforcement, heals 5% of your maximum armor when your shield takes damage. And for this final one, if you're gonna run a pulse or reviver hive, you can either run critical momentum. If you guys are running reviver hive, microwave coils if you decide to go with the pulse. The crusader shield, the reviver hive, or the pulse is really up to you. Now, one side note is if you guys do not have the chill out mask, what you could do is put a striker mask, then switch out the striker holster for an improvised holster, which you can craft at the crafting station. You're gonna see that on my Heartbreaker build that we're about to show you right now. Now, this is the Heartbreaker build currently on screen right now, and I'll tell you the survivability on this build versus the survivability on the striker build is pretty substantial. I will say surviving with the Heartbreaker build is a lot easier compared to with the striker build, but with the striker build, I felt that the damage was just a little bit more. So again, one has a little bit more survivability, one has a little bit more damage, but realistically, at the end of the day, both of them will allow you to complete solo master difficulty, and you can do it at lower shade levels, as I showed you earlier. Let's get into the build. So you might have noticed I am using the same weapon as the weapon I was using in the striker build. I am running the chameleon. Now I will swap to the St. Elmo's engine for the hunters. Now, if you don't have the chameleon, you can just run the St. Elmo's engine from start to finish. Now, if you guys do have the chameleon, then use the chameleon. Once you get to the hunters, you'll swap to the St. Elmo's engine. Also, if you guys want to fight the hunters with the Scorpio, you can try that too. Now, it has 900 RPM, 88,000 total damage based on a build with 1 red, 6 blues, 1 yellow. And then we also have assault rifle, health damage, and damage to targets out of cover. So for the Heartbreaker, why did we go with the Heartbreaker? Well, the Heartbreaker is one of those pieces that gives you 15% assault rifle and 15% LMG damage. Not only that, it gives you 15% weapon handling, which helps out on your reload speed, accuracy, stability, all the good things. So that's a big win there. Now, Heartbreaker. Headshots apply pulse for 5 seconds. So when you're hitting headshots with your thing, you're going to be applying Heartstopper. Weapon hits on pulse enemies as a stack bonus of 1% bonus armor and 1.1% weapon damage to pulse enemies up to a max of 50. Now, we're going to be running the chest piece, so this is going to go up to 100, but that is actually what's pretty insane with this. That's 110% extra weapon damage we're going to have on this build once we have the chest piece, and I'll read that to you in a second. We have armor on here, 170,000 armor, and then you got to go with crit chance on all the pieces. We do have 12% protection from elites on all the mods possible. For the chest piece, we're running the Heartbreaker chest piece. We have armor, critical chance again, and protection from elites, as I mentioned. And what does the chest piece do? Well, it increases max stacks from 50 to 100, and that's why we're able to get 110% extra weapon damage on our build because of the chest piece. Now, I did go with the improvised holster on this one. I know a lot of you guys said, yo, Skills, what if you don't have the chill out mask? So for this build, guys, what I'll tell you is the improvised holster, you can actually craft this piece. It comes with no attribute, but with this, we're actually gonna get crit chance and crit damage, and the improvised holster is the only piece that allows you to put a mod slot, which we're able to stack more protection from elites on here. So armor, crit damage, crit chance. Remember, you guys can craft this at your crafting station. For our knee pads, we have our third piece of Heartbreaker, and that's gonna be armor, and we have crit damage on this one. And then for our gloves, we have a fourth and final piece. We have armor and crit chance. Now for the backpack, we're running the Memento backpack. Great for solo play. We have weapon damage, armor, skill tier, and then protection from elites. And then take a look at this. Enemies you kill drop a trophy. So that means with this build, every time we pick up a trophy, we're only getting 5% weapon damage, but we're getting 60% bonus armor on top of the bonus armor we're getting from shooting enemies, which is crazy, right? Because if we have an enemy pulse, we're getting that stack there, and then we're also getting the bonus armor. So this is why this build, if you guys want, you guys could probably go down to 2 reds and 5 blues. Before this build, I wanted to show you guys how you guys can do it. If you feel like you could put out more damage and survive a little bit more, that will get you there. But yeah, Memento is going to be that. For the skills, I'm running the Crusader Shield, and then we have the Scanner Pulse. For our modifiers, we're going to be running Overdrive, we're going to be running Fortified Shield, we're going to be running Reactive Reinforcement, and Microwave Coils. If you guys do not have Microwave Coils, then you could put something else on there. But again, this is kind of the 3 that you would like to go with. And if we check out our stats, you'll see we have 49% crit chance on the build, 69% crit damage, 70% headshot damage, 21% health damage, 10% damage targets out of cover. And then over here, we have almost 1.9 million armor, and we have 58% protection from elites on this build. So again, that is where our survivability comes through. And this build is an absolute monster to play. It actually made those hunters feel a little bit easier. I did have to be a little bit more careful because I didn't have that kind of damage I have with strikers when I'm at full stack, and I had to wait. But the survivability with this is pretty insane. Being able to survive because of the bonus armor, building that stack, and, you know, face trading with those hunters, playing smart is going to get you through solo difficulty. But this is the build here. Hopefully this helps you guys out. I'll see you guys in the next one. Nothing but skills out.